Here's my dad joke. I stole this one. Braydon's heard this one. I stole this one from Sebastian Vettel. Okay, so there's this matchstick, and he's climbing up a hill, and he's really tired, and he's sweating, and he's just exhausted. And just as he gets to the top, he sees a hedgehog, and he goes, "Oh, shoot, I didn't know there was a bus." Hello, welcome to Hat Trick. I am Jordan Deller-Coltman, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Elliott Tanti, Braydon Deller-Coltman. How you doing, boys?
Good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. We are neck deep in playoff sports. The two of the major leagues that are still playing. Two of the major leagues. The only one that's not playing is the major leagues. The NBA and the NHL into the latter rounds now of their playoffs. Really exciting. We're going to dig into both of those two this week. A little bit of NHL content, a little bit of NBA content for you, and then we're going to make our picks for the second half of the NHL playoffs, because we made our picks as to who would come out of each division, but we could only really go that far at the beginning because we weren't quite sure how they were going to realign based on conference and all that kind of stuff. We only have one team from the West left in Vegas, so that'll be kind of interesting. So Elliott will tee up our picks for us in topic 3, but before we do that, we'll jump right into our sort of, I guess, semi-finals. They can't even call them conference finals, can they? Because they're not conferences anymore, but the semi-final round of the NHL. We'll start with that. Here's topic 1. Okay, so as mentioned, we're going to talk about the NHL. Topic 1 today will be NHL, then topic 3 will also be NHL. So starting off, we now know who the divisional winners are, and we have our final 4. Montreal will take on Vegas. Montreal, the Kings of the North, the conquerors of the North Division. Certainly not someone I think most of Canada had picked at the beginning of the year, but what a great little run they've been on, and isn't it fun to see vintage Carey Price again? And he's going to go up against a team with 2 good goaltenders, both of whom have had kind of roller coaster ride through the playoffs, in Fleury and Robin Lehner in Vegas. But before we talk about them, let's jump to the other one, because we actually got our first game underway here in the semifinals. The New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning are on the other side. So you've got sort of David and Goliath there too. The Islanders, who play a bit of a trap style defensive first game. A lot of people kind of complain it's a little boring, but hey, it's getting the job done. They've had some good goaltending from the back end there, and then of course Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending champs, and of course $15 million over the salary cap because they circumnavigated the little LTR findangling. And hey, if you can get away with it, why not? So let's start there. The Islanders won today 2-1. It was a tight game, but we'll start with you, Braydon. What are your feelings about the Islanders Tampa Bay series?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised to see both. Well, maybe not so much Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been a force all year, and coming off of a cup last year, they've been a very, very hot team. They've got arguably the best goaltender in the league. I love that the New York Islanders there. I think Barry Trotz has got this team running full tilt, and the additions that they made at the deadline with Palmieri and Zajac, that's some awesome veteran leadership. They're also producing, which is great, and that's what you want to see in the playoffs, is that the additions that that we talked about Kulikov for the Oilers. You want to see the additions actually produce and actually help the team when it matters. And so for the New York Islanders, kudos, like they're well on their way. They won the first game, which is a big statement against Tampa Bay. If they can keep it going, I do think this series will go long. I think this series will be a 6 or 7 game series. That's my prediction with this one, but cool. I like it. I really like seeing these two teams in the semis here.
Elliott, thoughts on this series before we jump to the other one?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Brady, and we'll talk about this in the third section a little bit more, but, he picked the Islanders, and the Islanders are the best team right now of that division and playing really well and won the game tonight, which gave me pause. What I love about the Islanders is, and this maybe speaks to some of my internal biases, but just it would be like a kick you while you're down to the Toronto Maple Leafs if they took Tavares, and then the Islanders just continue to get better. I think that's
kick me while I'm down with Tavares might not be the best turn of phrase.
It's a little on the head. Oh,
oops, sorry. Totally not intended there. We wish you all the best in your recovery, John Tavares. But no, I think that this stacks up to be a wicked series. I think you've got like you've got a natural sort of like enemy that everyone hates because of, as you said, Jordan, what Tampa Bay has done with their cap situation this year. You're seeing a team, the New York Islanders went for it. They went for it at the deadline, and that gamble, at least up until this point, seems to be paying off. I agree, though. Long series and a lot yet to see. One jarring thing tonight: New York Islanders were up 2-0 for the majority of this game, and still managed to have the same number of shots as Tampa Bay. And usually you see in games like, they call it game effect, where that will impact the way in which the game is played. Didn't appear to be happening here, which leads me, maybe is an early indication of just how strong the Tampa Bay Islanders are and the way that this series might go. Just early thought.
Totally. Well, that's the only series we've got a sneak peek at here for our kind of preview of it. So let's go to the other one that's going to have a game played tomorrow. Started off, obviously, like we said, another bit of a David and Goliath setup here. Montreal, who is the underdog, double conquerors of two teams that everyone thought they had a much better chance against. They went all the way with Toronto coming back from down 3-1 to take it to game 7, and then they made quick work of the Winnipeg Jets in 4. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly which version of the Montreal Canadiens we're going to get, but it feels like they're coming into this series hot. Vegas, on the other hand, had to fight off the Colorado Avalanche, but to be honest with you, they made that look kind of like a lot easier than I think people expected them to. They were the two top teams in that division, so we expected it to be a good series, but Vegas looked like they were never really in danger, and they played really well. So Vegas and Montreal starting tomorrow. Braydon, thoughts on that series?
Oh man, I am so surprised to see both of these teams where they are right now. I thought Colorado had this in the bag. I thought Edmonton and Toronto were the best teams, and it just goes to show that anything's possible in the playoffs. The biggest thing that I like about this, I was kind of hoping that Colorado would be that, we like narratives and these, we like stories and stuff, and I thought it'd be a lot of fun for Montreal to be able to play the old Quebec Nordiques. But as my grandfather reminded me, it's such a better story to have the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens in Max Pacioretty up against the Montreal Canadiens. I think it's going to be fun. And more than ever, this is going to be a huge battle between the goaltending. We're going to see some really great hockey in this series. It's so strange, though, to see an East team and a West team in semifinals. Like, it's very bizarre. I'm glad that there's still a West team, though. Just for the
Elliott.
Yeah, similar thoughts. I mean, I do think that a lot of conversation going into this series is about goaltending. A really interesting stat I heard last week doesn't necessarily apply to this situation, but I thought this group would be interested in it. Only 6 times in NHL history has a team swept a series and gone up against a team who their series went to 7. And in all 6 instances, the team that played 7 games has beaten the team that swept in 4. I think it's the ultimate debate settler around rest versus rust. Now, the Vegas only went 6 games, but they've certainly played a lot more hockey and a lot more intense hockey a lot more recently. And so I think Vegas goes in with an edge, and it's going to be interesting to see because I think it's going to be a real challenge for Montreal to maintain that momentum through this series. But what I love about this series is that it's 2 teams that no one thought had any business being there. And that's what makes it interesting. And it's all new stories. And I think, as much as, people are making this out to be, a potential for close series. And obviously Montreal's proven people wrong for a long time. I actually think this is going to be a relatively short series. And I'll leave my prediction for the third section, but I think you can get where I'm coming from on this one.
What do you mean no one expected these 2 teams? I think I had Vegas.
You did have Vegas.
Okay,
you
so
did
not
have Vegas.
No one expected these 2 teams.
Yeah.
But the storyline for
against
me,
Colorado,
I picked Vegas.
I don't think a lot of
I picked
people.
Vegas. Here's the thing. We're over time, but we'll wrap this up with this. Vegas obviously is, like Elliott sort of said, both of these teams have different storylines, and we have to expect different things from them. Vegas has proved something now by beating Colorado, the same way Montreal proved something against Toronto, and that is something you kind of carry forward with you, I think, into the next round, whichever round of the playoffs it is. If you beat the team that everyone else sort of had, you're the underdog, you kind of get that little extra jump in your step. But it's like Vegas really comes into this with like William Karlsson and Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone and Leonard or Fleury, whichever one it's going to be, and Pietrangelo. They're a very, very stacked team with names we know, talent we know. And then at the other end, it's like you've got a lot of the same guys there. You've got Stahl and you've got, some of these young guys. Cole Caulfield's playing out of his mind. Jeff Petrie had an amazing year. But the big thing for Montreal is simple as this. It's Carey Price. Who do you want to go up against? All those guys, you and what army? Carey Price on his best day is the best goalie in the NHL. And we haven't seen a lot of that in the last couple of years, but we've been seeing it a lot in the last couple of weeks, and it'd be exciting to see if he can carry that. So we'll leave that. And like I said, like Elliott said, we'll come back to our predictions in the third topic. That's topic 1. Hey, topic 2 this week is brought to us by Roma Pizza and Donair. Look, we all know that the best thing about Edmonton is the many Donair options. And I know if you're like me, it can be overwhelming and stressful trying to hunt down the best. Well, my friends, we have found it, and it's time you did too. Roma Pizza and Donair in Westbrook Aspen Gardens is Edmonton's best kept secret. There's nothing quite like piping hot meat getting shaved and served with a generous ratio of sweet sauce. And look, I know someone out there is saying, yeah, no, that's not really my thing. Well, hold your horses, because there is more. Roma Pizza and Donair not only serves Edmonton's best donair, but they also offer Roma's pizzas, dinner platters, chicken wings, chicken fingers, chicken nuggets, chicken tawuk, salads, subs, burgers, baklava, coconut cake, and with summer right around the snow-covered corner, they also have summer specials, deep fried pickles, and deep fried Oreos. But hey, don't take my word for it. Sometimes tasting is believing. To order, call them at 780-944-9696. That's 780-944-9696. They're open every day except Sunday from 11 to 11 and open till midnight Friday and Saturday. You can also follow them on Instagram at Roma Pizza Donair. Okay, topic 2. This one's going to be this may be a little bit lopsided, as both Elliott and I are not active NBA viewers. I'm a casual NBA fan from more that I listen to podcasts and other things with people talking about them on the regular. I don't actually watch the games unless it sort of happens to be on and I catch the last 5 minutes or something. But I follow it kind of casually. I think the NBA has done a great job of selling its players. So I like some of the players more than I follow specific teams. So that's I'm always interested in how certain players are doing and things like that. Anyway, playoffs, a little bit behind where we are in the NHL. They're still in the second round. They had sort of a weird hybrid wild card play-in thing that I know was very controversial. Knocked the Warriors out of the playoffs before they even started. But this year we've had some interesting matchups and some interesting results, obviously. So let's go through the series we have had so far. We'll start with the one that's already over in the second round. Denver and Phoenix didn't take very long. You've got the Denver Nuggets with the MVP, Jokic on it, but they had nothing for Devin Booker's Phoenix Suns. Braydon, you tipped your hat last week to Devin Booker for beating the Lakers. And less than a week later, he's already moving on to the third round. Thoughts on that series?
Yeah, I tipped my hat to Devin Booker, but I got to say the reason that they swept the Denver Nuggets in this series was the incomparable Chris Paul. He is a veteran. He has been there. He has never won, though, and I think he has so much to prove. LeBron's out of the way. The Phoenix Suns, it's funny, the last couple of years, they have been just atrocious. They have been at the bottom of the barrel. They drafted DeAndre Ayton first, this big man. A point there, he was taken before Luka Doncic and Trae Young, who are arguably the best players in that draft. They brought on Jay Crowder. They've just kind of, all of the pieces aligned perfectly for them to succeed this year, and we're seeing it come to fruition. It's really, really awesome basketball to watch.
So the other team out of LA that is still in the playoffs, the Clippers, and I think some people were a little surprised that they actually got past Dallas because it didn't start well for them against Dallas. Before I go to Braydon to give us the sort of perspective on the Utah Jazz LA Clippers series, Elliott, any thoughts on the LA Clippers?
No, just that they've got a big job ahead of them. They were obviously down 2-1 in the series. They have managed to get one game back in the series. But just like all 7-game series, it comes down to game 4, whether they fall down 3-1. I just don't think they're good enough to get back into the series if they do that. So we're going to need, I'm sorry, I have absolutely nothing to say. Back to you, Braydon.
I like that take.
Kawhi Leonard,
that take. This is why.
Playoff P. What do you think, Braydon?
Playoff P. That's the guy we want to talk about. This guy, Paul George, he's been an all-star, and I'm using that in quotations because he's a big name and he puts up big points throughout the year. And then it just comes to the playoffs and then he just kind of disappears or forgets how to play basketball, or he goes ISO and then just misses all the time. And it's not just this year. Like this has happened the last 2 or 3 years that he's gone into the playoffs. I don't like it for the LA Clippers. I'm rooting for Utah. I mean, they're the number 1 seed in the West this year, which is a big thing with, you know, the stacked teams that are already in the West. Donovan Mitchell is the future. You know, between Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker, and you're seeing Trae Young in Atlanta, Doncic. This is the future of the NBA. So, yeah, they've got Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, they've got playoff P, Paul George, and, you know, some other ragtag bands of misfits. But I don't like it for the LA Clippers here.
All right, let's move on to the East now. Actually, just before we do, can we just all agree that the Utah Jazz may be the dumbest name for any basketball team or any sports team ever? When I say the state of Utah to you, do you really think about Jazz? No, you don't. You think about Louisiana, where the team moved from. Anyway, Utah Jazz. Philadelphia and Atlanta. Obviously, Atlanta had a great series against the Knicks, and I say great just because they had to go into Madison Square Garden and beat the Knicks, and obviously we know the fan base behind the Knicks, who has starved like so many legendary teams that have not have fallen on hard times. Atlanta gets through them, you know, all because of their point guard, and now they're up against the Philadelphia 76ers, who again are a team that have gone deep into the playoffs a few times, but have never quite got over the hill here in the last couple of trips. So what are we looking at there? Philly's up 2-1.
We're looking at arguably one of the best ballers in the game today, which is Trae Young. He shoots lights out, and that's pretty much it. Philadelphia's the number 1 seed in the East, but they're not clicking on all cylinders like they should be. Joel Embiid is you can't be playing the whole game through Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons, he's not a shooter. Maybe he's a great passer. It's just not working. They are up in the series, but I still think Atlanta's going to pull through on this one.
Now, just as we go to the last series here, I know we've only got about a minute left. We'll let Elliott start this one off. Elliott, I know you are a fan of beer. Obviously, Milwaukee, home to Anheuser-Busch and many other great breweries. Any thoughts on the city of Milwaukee, or maybe Wisconsin in general?
Yeah, you know, I did have to take note that in both Game 2 and Game 3 of this series, the Bucks got 86 points.
It's interesting. That's a very interesting statistic.
Did they lose both those games?
No, the second one was a defensive standoff. They won 86-83, which is actually kind of surprising for basketball. I was sort of taken back at that score. Obviously, a very tight, as you know, you guys know, having watched the game as I did. It was a very, very tight checking.
Tight checking, yes, that's I think the correct term. After the strikeouts.
I'd like to know how many times in basketball history a team has gone back-to-back 86 points in the playoffs and won one of the games. That might be a first.
You can look it up while Braydon tells us about this series. Milwaukee and the Bucks, obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo. How'd I do, Braydon?
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, not bad. The Greek Freak, another one of those teams that has struggled a couple times to sort of meet the expectations that have been on them. They're on another one of those sort of, if they don't win this year, will they win kind of storylines. But Brooklyn has become the super team, right? So we talked about Brooklyn when we had Christian on the podcast a little bit earlier, and obviously the big storyline all year has been, you know, James Harden sort of whined and cried his way out of Houston. He joined KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn, and then they got lucky too, because somehow Blake Griffin though has been one of the sort of surprise storylines in the playoffs so far, because now they've actually got sort of four guys who are all contributing, and they've been really successful. But is Milwaukee good enough to beat them? The series is tied 2-2. This is our last series. What do you think, Braydon?
This is the best series in the NBA playoffs.
Is this really the finals? Like, is this people going to look back and be like, this was supposed to be the big one?
Yeah, these are the two best teams in the league. I'm looking right here. Phoenix comes close. But these are the two. These are the Titans. Giannis wants to win. He's made that very clear by signing his max contract. He's committed to Milwaukee. I think Budenholzer's job is on the line this year. If they don't, follow through. We've got a first-time rookie coach in Steve Nash, who's for me so hard to cheer against because I can't get behind this Brooklyn Nets team. You're saying, it's like a broken bug on 2K where you can just trade all of the star players to one team. I don't think Blake Griffin is, a shell of himself, but he's definitely not what he used to be. The fact that he's succeeding on this team is that he's not he doesn't carry the ball, and he wasn't able to do that in Detroit, and he never did that in LA when he was there. That was Chris Paul who was passing him. That was Lob City. He was just dunking it. So now he's able to be, he's been able to do that again. What I like about Milwaukee in this series, they've got a lot of toughness. They added PJ Tucker at the deadline. I think he's one of the X factors here when it comes to shutting down Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a bona fide shooter. He's the second best player in the league, and PJ Tucker's, he's working him hard every night, and he's getting in his face. He's making him mad. Sometimes that works in your favor, and sometimes that it doesn't. But I think this series is going to 7, and it's good for the game. It's really good for the game.
Well, you know what else is good for the game? Us talking about basketball. I know I wasn't here a couple weeks ago, and people just kept whining and complaining, just like James Harden leaving Houston, that we didn't talk enough basketball. We've talked basketball. We're going to get Elliott back on the call. He fell asleep there, so he'll be back in a moment for topic 3 because he's going to lead us through our picks for the NHL. That's topic 2.
Spring in full bloom, it's gardening season. For 18 years, Zocalo has been providing Edmonton with plants, gifts, and flowers. This local flower boutique is located right in the heart of Edmonton's Little Italy. With a wide array of flowers, plants, and gift options, they provide delivery and curbside pickup. Check out Zocalo online at zocalo.ca or call them at 780-428-0754.
Okay, topic 3. Elliott's going to take it from here. We're going to do our picks for the semifinals and the finals of the playoffs. Go ahead, Elliott.
All right. So I'll start with reviewing our picks from a couple weeks back when we picked the division winner, or who was going to win the division, I guess, out of every playoffs series, if that makes sense. Very interesting results here. It was a 3-way tie for first. We all guessed one team correct and 3 teams incorrect. But what I really liked about our suggestions and what makes us, we are greater than the sum of our parts in that we all guessed a different team correct, which I'm very proud of. So really, as individuals, we were 1 for 4, but as a show, we were 3 for 4. And I think hats off to us for that. Is anyone getting that? Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah, good. You're good.
All right. Laundry's done. So of course, Braydon, well done picking the New York Islanders to come out of that division. Jordan, you were correct, as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, with your Vegas prediction. And I, of course, took Tampa Bay. The only division we got wrong, the Canadian one, probably the one that we watched the most this year. So you two, of course, took Edmonton. I took Toronto. None of our suggestions left the first round.
Oh, man.
Anyway, now we're moving into the second round. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to have each of you pick the winner of each semi-final series and then an ultimate Stanley Cup winner. Let's go through. Let's do all this picks for each person once. So Jordan, let's start with Montreal and Vegas. Who do you have out of that series?
Ugh.
And in how many games? Let's do that.
And how many goals?
I have. I hate to do this. I have Vegas.
Oh no.
I just think Vegas is just they look formidable. They look ready to go. I mean, I've been wrong with those kind of predictions before this playoffs, but I picked them for a reason last time. I just think Vegas knows what's at stake. And look, only a couple years ago they were in the finals, so I think a lot of these guys that were there from the beginning know what this takes, and you've got some really hungry really hungry guys there. So I'm gonna take Vegas, and I'll take Vegas in 6. Is that what they just won the last series in? I'll take Vegas in 5.
Vegas in 5. Aggressive. I like it. Okay, let's move to Montreal. Or no, that's the one we just did. Let's do Tampa Bay and New York Islanders, Jordan.
I'm doing both my picks now?
Add your Stanley Cup.
Oh, geez. Oh, all off the top. Okay. I pick the Islanders.
Okay,
I have one favorite. Why? I have one favorite in one series, and I have one underdog in the other.
And
I just like the Islanders. I think the Islanders have a touch of destiny about them too. They just feel like this slightly more complete team than Montreal does when it comes to an underdog that can win. I don't know. I just like it. And I think they're going to win in 7.
7 games for Islanders, Tampa Bay. Okay, so that would mean you have Vegas and Islanders in the Stanley Cup Finals. Who do you have?
Vegas in 4.
How many games? Vegas in 4. Very aggressive. Love it.
Wouldn't that be crazy if Vegas won the year that the next expansion draft or expansion team came out?
Oh, I think that's the story to be. And then it'll just get all of the conspiracy theorists out.
Have they changed anything in the expansion draft? I know we probably talk about that on another segment, but are there any major changes in the way the draft?
No, it's pretty much the same. Except Vegas doesn't have to give up a player.
So we're bound to see the same. Oh, what?
Yeah, because they've only been an expansion team for like 5 years. So you don't have to give up a player in the draft. Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Sorry.
Braydon, moving over to you now. Vegas and Montreal. Who do you have? Why? And in how many games?
Who do I have? Why? And how many games? I've got, oh man. Well, I thought Colorado was a much better team than Vegas, and Vegas won. So I'm going to pick Montreal to win because I think Vegas is a better team than Montreal. And I think Carey Price is going to continue to play the way he's been playing. And I've got Montreal beating Vegas in 6 games.
All right. Montreal in 6. Let's move to Islanders and Tampa Bay. Obviously, Islanders went up 1-0 in the series tonight. Who do you have in that series? Why? And in how many games?
Well, I'm going to pick the New York Islanders. The reason why is because I already picked the New York Islanders, and I feel like I would be turning my back on something good there. So I'm going to take New York Islanders, taking out the reigning champs in 5 games, and Jordan Eberle is going to score in overtime of the 5th game.
Whoa.
Sorry, that was me throwing up in my mouth.
That's how it's going to go.
All right, Jordan Eberle, OT winner in Game 5.
That's right.
Okay, so that leaves your Stanley Cup final being the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Islanders. Who do you have? Why? And in how many games?
This is a hard one. I'm gonna take the New York Islanders. I'm gonna continue this trajectory. I'm gonna take the New York Islanders in 6 games, and the reason why is because I think Barry Trotz remains to be the best coach in the league.
Okay. At least the best coach born in Dauphin, Manitoba.
That's right.
Were there others that I should be aware of?
No,
he's the only one.
I mean, my mother, but she never coached in the NHL.
Okay, so you have the Islanders winning their.
As far as I know, she never coached in the NHL. But
yeah, so you have the Islanders winning their 5th Stanley Cup in 6 games against the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, well, I've had the privilege of seeing all your picks, but I knew mine from the start. I've got Vegas in 4 games.
Whoa.
I don't think it's close. And it goes back to that rust versus rest conversation that we had earlier. And just to be different from you two guys, because you took the Islanders, I like Tampa Bay. I like cheering for the evil team, the team that no one likes, the team that cheats. I've been known to cheer for a Patriots team here or there. So I like Tampa, but I also like Tampa in 7. And I like in the Stanley Cup final, Vegas versus Tampa. I really like the narrative of Vegas winning a Stanley Cup right before the next expansion team enters into the league. And so I'm going to take Vegas, and we'll do that in 6 games. They're going to beat Tampa in 6 games. So just to recap, Braydon has Montreal coming out of the Vegas-Montreal series. He has Islanders coming out of the Islanders-Tampa Bay series, and he's Islanders winning the Stanley Cup. Jordan has Vegas coming out of the Montreal-Vegas series. He has the Islanders coming out of the Islanders-Tampa Bay series, and he has Vegas winning the Cup in 4. And I have Vegas coming out of the Montreal-Vegas series, Tampa coming out of the Tampa Islanders series, and Vegas in 6. We will find out who did the best in a couple of weeks.
Jordan's like, I'm over this. Can they just win in 4 games? On to the next season.
That'd be good. Well, we will get to, we'll know very soon whether or not our picks were right. We'll get to do a little preview of the finals when it comes around, obviously. But until then, enjoy the semifinals. Again, I can't call them the conference finals. It's very strange. All the branding the NHL did for a decade, it's been thrown away in 1 year. And we'll see whether or not...
finals.
Yeah, the COVID finals. All right. Well, that's that. Thank you, Elliott, for leading us through that. He will keep track of our results on that, and we'll see how accurate we were. Nice to know all 3 of us picked somebody who got through on the previous ones. That was kind of fun. And we'll leave it there for now. That's Hat Trick. Hat Trick is a member of the Ordinary Podcasting Network. It's produced every week by Jordan Dowler-Coltman and Braydon Dowler-Coltman. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks for listening. That was good.
Nice work, Braydon.
I wish I could have.
Nice of you to contribute this week, Braydon. Thank you. All right.
It's nice that there was a topic worth contributing to.